Georgia at Auburn, and this game has changed just today, taping on Wednesday. Typically, we'd break it down like any other game from a betting perspective, but a lot of rumors swirling around about Cam Newton going to not play in this game. That's not for certain. Caesars, as of Wednesday, took the line down. Bodog took the line down. Other books have adjusted the line. So let's let this be a learning opportunity for us on how we look at a game in which there's a key player that's very uncertain. Now, sometimes we'll just take the game off the board. So as a handicapper, it doesn't matter, right? Because you can't bet it. And once that it's known is the player going to play or not, now you can then bet it at knowing that knowledge. But the sharper books, the books that have a little more gamble in them, they'll put a line up which is it's adjusted for the likelihood of the players. So let's talk a specific situation. And we're going to make it extreme just so it's easy to understand. Let's say a player is worth 10 points. No player probably is worth 10 points. Cam Newton is worth about 7 points. Talking to guys in town today, they say this line would move about 7 points on Cam Newton not playing. I'm not sure there's many players, if any, in the country worth more. But let's just say it's 10. And let's just say that the line would be 10, minus 10, if the player played. All right? So if the player didn't play, the line would be?
Would be 3 if he's worth 7.
But just for now that's the Cam Newton, agreed. With this example, we're making them pick because we're saying it's 10, just to keep it round numbers.
Okay.
All right, so pick without him, 10 with him. Well, let's say that you assess the odds are 50% he's going to play. Well, what would you make the line?
They're going to make it 5 or 6.
They're going to make it 5. And that's exactly how you as a handicapper should look at it, is you don't know if he's going to play. You're taking a risk by betting it. But let's say for the sake of argument, there's a 90% chance he's going to play. But if they've got the line at 7 because they're saying, oh, he might not play, all of a sudden you got a ton of value laying the 7 because there's only that 10% chance he's not going to play, and that's worth 1 point. Now, this line opened up about 8.5, 9. I actually saw 9.5 in some spots, but I think it was hit even before the Newton thing. Right now, the books, the sharper books, and this is Wednesday again, that have the lineup have it at 7. So if you're assuming Cam Newton is worth 7 points, and they're saying the line's moving, let's say 2 points on these rumors, they're saying the odds of him playing are about 70 or 75%, and thus 75% of 7 is 2.5 points, so they're moving the line down. So really, my question to you is, does that seem right? Does that seem, because this is not even about the handicap at this point. This is about Cam Newton. Does that sound right?
It sounds right in what they're doing. You said that the sharp books have gone to 7. There are a few books offline that still, offshore I should say, that still are putting up an 8 or 8.5. I would say, me personally, if you can get that number, I would grab the dog, because worst case scenario, that's going to be the peak of the number, 8.5. So if you grab Georgia at 8.5 and anything happens the rest of the week that's going to change and Cam Newton doesn't play, you're going to be able to come back and make a great middle because the line's going to plummet.
Yeah. So I would, and to me that's a pure arbitrage. If you're saying the definition in business of an arbitrage is you have the same asset, in this case Georgia is the asset, priced differently in 2 different spots. So really, any time that you hear people trying to middle a game, that's an arbitrage. They got one guy at -6, one guy at or +6, one guy at -3.5. Boom, boom, boom. They're playing the same asset, going both ways on it. Here, but the question is, do you typically try to arbitrage or middle a game between 8.5 and 7? Because if not, then we're assuming 7 is priced properly, taking into account the likelihood of Cam Newton playing or not playing. So in theory, if he is clearly going to play, the line's going to go back up to 8.5. If he isn't going to play, it's going to, like you said, it's going to go down, it'd be like 1.5 or 2 if that 7-point adjustment is correct. But if I told you right now, forget Cam Newton, you could play a college game, and college points are worth less. So I'm less inclined to arbitrage in college because the spread isn't as tight. If I tell you that you can lay on a college game 7 and take back 8.5, are you pounding that?
I would take it because 7.
So 7 and 8.5, you try to middle that or arb that.
It's a key number, yes.
So you do.
I will.
Okay. So to me, I think that's probably about a break-even arb. If you're laying 110 each way, maybe the slightest little edge on it. So maybe you're right, but I think the better advice here might be if you like Auburn, maybe wait. But most certainly if you like Georgia, I just had a mental block. Take the 8.5 if you can get it, because you're right. That's the ceiling right now. It's not going to 9.5.
Right.
Most likely. So that would be my advice.
Right. You're creating yourself the potential for a major middle for 10 cents on the dollar.
Plus, even if you don't get the middle and it goes back to 8.5, you like it at 8.5 anyway.
Right.
So in a way, that's a free roll. You have a chance at an arb and a chance to actually just have a decent side. If you like Auburn, I don't think that 1.5 is worth it.
Now, I will say this much. None of us can say for sure if he's going to play or not play. But, we talked before we went on air. Really, unless the NCAA comes in and says he's suspended, I can't believe Auburn sits him because they have nothing to lose.
They're pot committed.
They're definitely pot committed. They're undefeated on the season. If it comes back and he is suspended, they're going to go back and forfeit the games he played in this year anyway.
It's nothing to lose.
Right. So, I think he plays.
Which makes me think the fact that Caesars here in town's taking the line down, that there's some truth to the rumors that there's some real uncertainty of him playing. If not, why is bookmaker at 7? Bookmaker's as sharp as they get.
But if you go back to the beginning of the season, that first game of the season when we had, I think it was LSU and North Carolina. North Carolina actually did not have the suspensions, but there was speculation about them because they were still investigating it. They didn't take a chance. They sat all those players because of the potential.
Because it wasn't tainted yet. The season wasn't tainted, so why taint it? It's tainted for Auburn already.
Right.
That's a good point. All right, so real quick, let's assume he plays. Let's talk handicapping. Vegas has Auburn number 6, slightly overrated based upon being 2 in the BCS or whatever. Georgia is very underrated. They've got Georgia number 21. AP only has 39 teams listed. Georgia's not even in there. So AP saying Georgia's not even in the top 40, and Vegas says number 21. So that makes me, if I can get the 8.5 with the chance of Newton not playing, I really like it.
It goes back to, like we said in the Pitt video earlier, because Georgia had losses early in the season, they fell completely off the radar. This team's playing good ball right now. And here's the other thing, that the key to the handicap in this game. It doesn't matter if Cam Newton plays or doesn't play. He doesn't play defense. This defense...
It matters. You're saying there's other factors.
But I'm saying he doesn't play defense, and this defense sucks, okay? There's no way to sugarcoat it. They give up points to everybody, and Georgia can move the ball. That's why any points here with Georgia is, you're live, even with backdoor capabilities.
All right, scheduling. Both teams played last week, but they were both favored by over 40 points against very weak opponents. So it's almost like a quasi-bye. They were prepping for this game.
It was a scrimmage.
Give us your projection.
I have Auburn winning, and I'm making this pick based on Newton playing because I think he plays. I have them winning 41-37, but I'm advising to grab the points. Take Georgia plus the points.
You wouldn't play a +7 right now, would you?
No, I wait on this and see what's going to happen. But if you can get the 8.5, grab it now if anybody has it.
Now it's your turn to continue the conversation in the comment section with Marco and me. And next up, boy, Marco must really like this game because I can't imagine he picked it. So stay tuned. Clemson at Florida State. He's got to have some good stuff.